Hello there, friends, and welcome back to more Bravely Default 2. Last time, we infiltrated Wiswald's Scholarly Institute via the sewers, which had this strange blue paint look to its water, which is really interesting. We also learned a little bit more about Berserker as we got to test it out in the sewers against the weird monsters down there, and it's a pretty interesting job, if not a little slow. But hey, we arrived here in the Institute, but Roddy's nowhere to be found. We need to figure out where he is so we can get answers out of him. But first things first, something I spotted real fast was this treasure chest right here. There's 3 of them here in the Institute. A mithril bow. If you didn't get one of those back in the Savalon arc, you can get one there now. I think I got mine from a monster drop. Pretty interesting. Also, one thing that is very, very important to note. Talking to this nice young fellow right here will unlock the door of the Institute. You'll tell Roddy I went and unlocked the door because you asked me to, eh? Which lets us leave. You don't have to go through the sewers and teleport pads and whatnot in order to get back to Wiswald. You can just unlock the door here and go to the inn, which is exactly what I'm going to do, as we have a lot of preparations to go through before I go back into the Institute to find Roddy. Trust me, from this point onward, preparation is incredibly important for anything you do. So, first things on my agenda is actually I'm going to switch Adele over to Monk. Very briefly. I'm going to give her a medium JP orb. Since I'm going to be looking for job level 3, perfect. I want Bare Knuckle Brawler on her as soon as possible. This will be very, 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 very important later on. Go ahead and swap back. I probably should have done that after, before I went to the end, but hey, it didn't change her stats all that much. Bare Knuckle Brawler will be very important. I'm not going to equip it right now. But just to give you an idea, if we were to take off Pain and Gain, put on Bare Knuckle Brawler, and we were to look at her main Gosh right here, let's take off the Buckler. Main Gosh is 131. She would only lose about 10 attack power, and she would gain some speed, which is really good for a thief. So keep this in mind. We're going to be taking off her weapon later on for something very important. Now, if I didn't promote it well enough earlier, Wind and Earth Talismans. Get these. Like, please, get these. These are really, really good talismans right now. Not only does the Earth Talisman boost your health by 800, it also gives you Earth Resistance +1, which is going to come in handy. Wind Talisman, Wind Resistance +1 is really good. Obviously, this one is more for lowering your weight count and boosting your evasion. But honestly speaking, if you have the funds for it, buy 4 of each of these. And put them all on your characters. Have 1 Wind Talisman and 1 Earth Talisman on each of your party members. I don't think I need to go that far. Also, I don't think I have enough funds in order to do that. No, I could. I could use all my money to do that if I really wanted to. But what I am going to do is I am going to grab a few of these. So I will see you back for whenever I have outfitted my talismans, and I'll showcase who I've given what. Okay, I am back. Now, Seth doesn't actually really need anything other than the Gaia Shield and the Wind Talisman. The Gaia Shield gives him a full immunity to Earth, just with the Earth Resistance +2 here, and the Wind Talisman will give him a +1 resistance to Wind. So he's pretty well set himself. Gloria has an Earth and Ice Talisman, giving her a resistance to Earth, and Wind will be pretty bad for her. Though with the extra 800 HP, she really should be okay. Elvis is the same boat, just an Earth Talisman. Now, Adele here has a Wind Talisman. I am tempted to get her something else, but she's fully immune to lightning, which isn't as big of a deal. But she has a resistance to wind, which will also give her extra speed and evasion, boosting her speed to 84, which is, again, pretty good. And if we remove her weapon and shield, she will have extra speed. So in terms of her HP, we're looking pretty good. It's really Adele here that might struggle to stay alive if enemies are doing more than 16 to 1800 damage to us, which ideally they aren't. I think what I'm also going to do is equip the Ice Brand on Seth here. It boosts his attack by quite a bit, 182. It gives him a decent amount of physical defense. It does lower it a bit, but I want to see if I can get some good mileage out of this. If it doesn't work out, I will put him back on the Hawkeye. But for right now, let's see how that plays out. And there is a little bit more preparation I want to talk about here. Let's go into abilities. I didn't really talk about Bloody Minded all that much last episode. Let's go and look at it. Bloody Minded. Physical attacks performed by the user cannot be evaded, but will also damage the user. However, this will not kill you. It'll only drop your HP down to 1 if you go a little too far. This is really good for fighting enemies like Wikis, or if you just have a terrible aim stat, you can use this to at least guarantee you're going to hit your target, which is pretty useful, though, again, do mind the HP loss. Having some kind of HP restorative or self-sustain tool might be needed if you are going to use that. Next, we're going to go ahead and put on Solar Powered on Gloria, since we are in the daytime. Born Entertainer is a pretty good idea here. We have Divining Rod still, but I will be swapping this off for probably a Spear Attack in case I want to get extra MP. And I guess we can keep Bare Knuckle Brawler on right now. I don't really see a reason not to. So, with all of this done and dusted, I'm going to go ahead and save, and then we'll be heading back into the Institute. Okay, now we're back in here. Unfortunately, I don't think we can get every treasure chest right now that's available to us, but we can talk to some of these people. Wiswald's method for magical inquiry is simple: hypothesis, experiment, evaluation, codification. Back in the day, wizards tended to rely on instinct and experience, but Lady Enema put a stop to all that. She set up her system and insisted that everyone stick to it. Same thing with Toma 24 there. We're currently using that method to attempt to understand what's been happening lately. We've 108 working hypotheses at the moment. Crap. Is there 108 different ways someone can go missing? I guess there is, if you really think about it. Yeah, alright, I feel that. There is a treasure chest up there for us. If we walk over to this corridor, we can see that there's another door for us. Also, these weird, liquid, gravity things here are just so mesmerizing. I found myself on my first playthrough just sitting here in the Institute just staring at it for like a good 20-30 minutes. I kind of want to do it now. But yeah, we have another dungeon for us. The sewers wasn't all there was for us. Unfortunately, there are still some BCs in the Institute that are running rampant. Unfortunately, they are much closer to the actual scholars than the sewers were. So we have to deal with these guys. Now, my strategy from the previous episode really won't change all that much from what I was already doing. Let's go in default here, and let's try out some Seth stuff here. They aren't weak to anything we really have, so let's do a Mercy Strike, and then an attack. There we go, and we got the capture. Now, one thing to note about the Ice Brand. Oh, Gloria learned Screaming It Out. One thing to know about the Ice Brand. If an enemy resists, absorbs, or nullifies water damage, the Ice Brand kind of gets slapped on the wrist a little bit, because you are technically still doing water damage. So keep that in mind if you're going to use the Ice Brand here. Ideally, I don't have any issues with it, but we'll see what happens. Screaming It Out for Elvis as well. We should be able to get job level 12 with both of them before we get to the end of the Institute. That is the idea. Okay, take this thing down. Unfortunately, the enemies aren't all that different from what we were seeing in the sewers. There are a few new additions that we will be seeing in a bit, but generally speaking, they are not really all that different. So, instead, what I'm going to talk about is I'm going to talk about a few monsters that we have seen before, but we haven't captured, but could be pretty useful. One of them is actually a Aqua element, the water version of these elementals. One big thing about them is that if you use them as a Beastmaster, they have access to gravity magic, which is really, really good against certain enemies and, in some cases, even bosses. Little hint, hint, wink, wink for later on, that we might be running into an opponent that is susceptible to gravity magic and could very well just completely fold to that attack. So going and finding some Aqua elements could be a pretty viable strategy. Fortunately, we're finding ourselves here in a bit of a pickle because Seth missed some of his attacks, and I don't want to put Bloody Minded on him right now. Let's go ahead and heal up. Thankfully, we are pretty healthy. There really isn't a lot these guys can do to us in terms of, like, full-on damage, as long as we just have some kind of defense played. So we can just kind of skip around here and mess around with these enemies. It is really unfortunate that Berserker is just so dang slow. It takes super long to get what I want. Mortarboard. See there? Where are you? Oh, you're a magic one. Confusion and Charm immunity. That's actually pretty good. I lose physical defense there. Honestly, that might be better on Adele. Sure. Also, this music is a different rendition of the music we were hearing in stuff like the Abandoned Manor and Bernard's Manor, with a little more of like a science-y feel to it, I guess is probably the best way of putting it. Thief almost level 11, which is really nice, kind of, but also a little scary since, while I don't want to say too much, I'm not a big fan of the Thief second specialty, and that might sabotage things if I get that too early. So I'm going to be pretty tame, and once I hit level 12 with the bards, I'll probably stop fighting entirely until we see some new enemies, just because I don't want to get level 12 with Thief too early. You'll see what I mean later. Level 6 for Berserker, Free For All. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. The attacking abilities performed at random while Berserk do not cost anything. Pretty neat. Again, berserking is kind of the Berserker's whole thing. So, I could technically Vent Fury here instead, but I just don't like that. At level 11 there, I mashed through the text because I didn't think I was actually going to get it there. Let's go and see what I got. You snooze, you lose. Perform a physical attack that's extremely effective on sleeping targets. There's some use for that, I guess. There aren't too many bosses that are affected by sleep, but there's a few enemies that can be problematic, that can be affected by it. Alright, moving forward, we've got another treasure chest for us, and another enemy. Who would have thought?
We've got the upper hand.
Get this treasure, 5 mini ethers. That'll come in handy if I have any healing issues. But thanks to solar powered, I really shouldn't run into that issue. But you know, it's there if we need it. Screw it. Let's check out Screaming It Out, performing an extremely powerful non-elemental magic attack on multiple targets. All right, well, that's a great first impression, don't you think? Oh dear. That gave us the Rod of Fire. Oh, someone's investigating some treasure. This expedition's actually really working out for us. Let's see here, Rod of Fire. Fire attacks do 30% more damage. Also gives us aim plus 100. Oh my god, okay. I mean, most of the rods give you a lot of aim. Critical chance plus 5. Alright. I'm assuming I can't equip this because probably the round shield? Yeah, that would be equal to what I have right now. I would lose a little bit of speed. I don't really think this is worth it because I don't have Elvis as an attacker right now. He's just a buffer, so we'll keep with the shield for right now. I think I might be swapping Elvis over to Beastmaster again if he finishes Bard when I want him to. So that'll be something I put him on. I'll put him on bows instead. Only one more chest to find in this little zone here, and a lot of annoying enemies to deal with too. Hopefully I can walk around them. Thank you. And I think I remember where the last one is, but I will jump back to... oh, no, found it. Never mind. Don't need to do any funny little cuts. 1300 peak. Honestly, that might not have been worth it, but that's okay. Gotta meander around these elements here. And walking past this plant will lead us to another zone. One more chest to find in this area, and I think this is when the new enemies start spawning, potentially. Also, I gotta say, I have a pretty interesting story when it comes to this dungeon. So, oh, there's the new enemy. I want to see if I can get him. Come here. Okay, so, story time.
The initiative is
At this point in the game, I was having, let's say, some difficulties enjoying this game. I thought that I was still not really sold on the change in the combat system, even after playing all of the demos and really messing around with it. And I was having so many problems with the Chapter 1 boss fights. I died many times on each of them. Even after I'd fought Bernard and Orpheus in the demos for the game, I was still finding myself struggling to beat them in the actual game itself. And I just could not figure out, for the life of me, what I was supposed to do. And I literally for the caster fight, I turned the game to easy mode just so I could get through it, and I was just not having a lot of fun. I got to this dungeon because I decided to go for Roddy first, and I was pissed. This dungeon and its enemies were beating the crap out of me. I couldn't really get away from them either because there was a lot of tight spaces, and I was just not having a fun time. Nothing in this dungeon was making me enjoy the game. I hated everything that was going on right now. I wasn't even really sold on the story. I thought it was really boring. There's nothing like super creative. The Bravely games, in my opinion, don't really have like the most exciting narrative ever. They're usually pretty standard for the most part until the later sections. But even then, I was like, this is just not very interesting. There were some parts I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. You know, the standoff with Adam and Sloane was neat, and, you know, Castor was an interesting antagonist that, you know, I thought was, like, fairly interesting, at least compared to Horton, who was really basic. I was just like, this game is just, like, what the hell is going on? There's nothing interesting happening. And despite the fact that, like, I just really hated playing it. There was really nothing going for it for me. And this dungeon just exemplified a lot of the issues I had initially with the game. Now, this was also the dungeon that, because of all of that, I decided to step away for about a day. So I was playing the game as it was coming out. And I'd gotten to this point on day 2 of the game being out. And I want to see if I can capture this guy, by the way. That's what I've been trying to save up to do. And I decided to step away during the 3rd day after the game came out. And I decided to look at the forums and look at what everyone else was thinking about the game. And I was seeing a lot of very similar sentiments, where it was just a lot of people who were like, this game is bullshit. There's a lot of frustrating aspects with this game, and it just isn't fun. Also, I got ambushed here. Might see if I can run away here. This game isn't fun. The bosses are stupid and annoying. And for a while, I was like, yeah, I agree with this. This is really dumb. What were they thinking? The combat system did not need to be changed. The bosses, the stupid counters are really freaking annoying. There's nothing fun about this game. Like, really, the Bravely franchise is one of my favorites. Bravely Default and Bravely Second are really cool. What the hell were they thinking? And then I took a day off. I looked at the forums, saw all of that. But I decided, you know, I was like, okay, the game just came out. I'm going to take a break for the day, and I'll come back with a fresh mind and just see what I know I'm missing something. What am I missing? This is a Bravely Default game. One of my favorite franchises ever. There's something I'm missing. The developers couldn't have screwed up this bad. They nailed it with Octopath Traveler, like, come on. There must be something. And I came back the next day, and I left the dungeon, and I took a look at the shops, and I took a look at the jobs, and I started reading things way closer and experiment. And I looked at the accessories, and I looked at anything that could give me an inherent advantage in battle. I started looking at previous encounters that I'd been doing. I reloaded some saves even, back to Chapter 1, just to try and get a feel for what am I missing here. And I found it. It just took me reading the game and reading the information the game had given me and experimenting with it more than I had done previously. What I mean by that is, this game, in my opinion, simultaneously promotes that you experiment and rewards you for experimenting, while in the same breath also sort of dissuading you from doing it. It is so incredibly easy to level up jobs in this game. That is a 100% fact. It is super easy. I've showcased it already that everything that the game has given me, I've been using everything the game has given me, and I have already maxed out a ton of jobs on each character. I showcased the idea that you could max out Freelancer super early on. Oh, alright, they're immune to lightning. And that it is not hard to max out jobs. It is not hard to experiment with them. But it is also terrifying to experiment with them. And also the game, it doesn't tell you what enemies counter, what they are immune to, what they are resistant to, what they absorb, anything like that. It doesn't tell you what bosses do. It only tells you what they're weak to. And that sucks. Because you could be building up a strategy and you're like, okay, I spent 30 minutes grinding up these jobs, I got a strat here, I'm gonna try it out, and then you realize that these enemies are immune to earth damage, and you built a strategy around dealing earth damage, and it doesn't work. Like, well, okay, well, screw that. I don't want to spend another 30 minutes or reload a save just because this didn't work. I would like for it to work. And then you sit there and you try to brute force it, and it just does not work. Because that's not what you're supposed to do in this game. You're supposed to examine something, and you're supposed to figure out what works and what doesn't. And if it doesn't work, then you're supposed to go back and experiment. But it doesn't remove the fact that the game, it's kind of sucky if you work on something really hard and it just doesn't work and you have to go back to the drawing board. Now, for some people, that's really exciting. In fact, for me, after I beat Bravely Default 2, that became one of my favorite things, was just trying to optimize how the heck am I supposed to approach an encounter in a specific way. And after sitting back and just looking at all the jobs and leveling them up and just kind of experimenting, one of the things I found was Godspeed Strike, which was really, really good. But I found things like the talismans, and the idea that equipping 2 of the same talisman will make you immune to a certain element, which really helped in certain encounters, because it meant I could completely remove an aspect of a fight that was really, really annoying. Treasure chest acquired. Earthing rod, okay. And after taking a small break from trying to just brute force my way through the story, and looking at all the jobs, and looking at the accessories, and just seeing how everything fits together, this game became so much more interesting and so much more fun. Because I was actually able to create a strategy that I felt proud of. And it didn't feel like I was just trying to brute force my way through a boss fight that was just countering everything I was doing. Either way, this entire rant, which is very, very off the cuff here, is very much to say that this dungeon really forced me to reevaluate how I was approaching this game and how I was approaching the fights and the overall strategy. And after experimenting and coming back with a strat and coming back with some builds, this dungeon really kind of just it kind of just got snapped in half. While I was definitely a bit higher level than I should have been after doing all my builds, it was nice to feel rewarded for just deciding to understand how this game worked. And after just one day of doing all of that, my opinion on this game flipped on its head in really fast. Since then, I was like, oh, yeah, okay, so, you know, gear synergizes with stats, stats synergizes with build. You know, the idea that everything that you do on your character and everything you build with them, I need to reset this from here. Everything that you equip on your character, be it a passive ability, a piece of equipment, a job, everything synergizes well with each other. And it's so important that you know what you're going up against and that you can then build around it. Which means that you are very likely going to experience a lot of failure in this game. And it's just something you have to understand is a part of the experience. And once you experience something, once you experience a fight and if you lose, take the information you learned from it, adapt it to your strategy, and then you come back and you beat the crap out of them. And for some people, that isn't what they're looking for. They're looking for an experience where they can just kind of breeze through it, experience the story, you know, don't want to think about it too much. And that's what easy mode is for. And there's nothing wrong with going through easy mode. And so by actively doing what the developers want me to do, I enjoyed this game a lot more. And I started to be on the opposite side of the argument when it came to the opinion for this game. Now, I will say there are other points later on where this game pissed me off quite a bit, and we'll get to those when we get to them. But this is really the first turning point for Bravely Default 2 for me, where I went from really not liking this game to the fact that I was actually really thinking about just stopping it entirely and writing it off as a fluke and hopefully that Team Asano does better, to really enjoying what I've been given. Anyways, let's go ahead and take these guys down, and I'm gonna stop ranting because this recording is going on for way too long, and I still need to get to Roddy. Hey, got a level up for Seth and job level 7. I think I mashed the text a little too fast. Got an Academy Gown as well. Got lots of stuff to look at. First things first, Academy Gown is another magic-based armor piece. Earth Resistance +1. I could equip this on Seth and give him full absorption to Earth. Really deep. I'm thinking I might give this to Elvis, potentially? He loses a bit of magic defense, though. Let's give this to Adele. She's really low on defense. This gives her resistance to both wind and earth, which is good. And then we also have Seth's level 7, which is Shell Split, which is pretty good. Lowers physical defense. It's a quick physical attack that will lower physical defense. Berserker has quite a few debuffs, so we'll be working with that. For this point onward, I think we've seen every major enemy for this dungeon. So I think from this point on, yeah, there's the exit. I'm gonna just teleport over to where all the treasure chests are, and then I will see you at the Institute again. Right here, and near to the east of the exit is the Mirage Vest. That gives us light resistance and a lot of extra defense. Let's give this to Seth, since I want him to have a higher chance of being targeted. Okay, to the south of the exit is the 2 final chests. Devil's Delight, which will attract devil enemies, and a Courage Ring. Oop, that's not the right menu. A Courage Ring will make you immune to Dread, giving plus 50 MP and 15 restorative power. If I wasn't specifically equipping my accessories with a specific strategy in mind, that would actually be a really, really good accessory to have. Either way, make sure you use this teleport pad and the save point wisely. Very important to save up here and heal. Alright, with that done, let's head into the Institute again. We're on the higher floor, giving us access to the last treasure chest to be found. Teleport stone. That could be useful if you need to go all the way back down. But we need to have the teleport pad anyway, so it's not too terribly useful. And we have a way to reach Roddy. His personal research quarters, I'm assuming. Going down here will lead us to a very weird place where Roddy's hiding out.
Mona. Oh, Mona. It's nearly ready, wee one. Just a little longer and we can be together again. I just need it to be a wee bit bluer, a wee bit brighter. Then you can come back to me at last.
Roddy, what are you... Are you trying to bring Mona back from the dead?
Bluer, brighter. Come back to us, darling. Come back to life.
You're so close now, Dad.
What is that?
Bluer, brighter, like the sky. Bring me back, Dad.
Mona! I'm here, darling. I can hear you. Oh, Mona.
It's coming from that painting.
I want to be back home with you, Dad. Just like before.
I know, Hen. I know. And once I've got rid of this lot, I'll get right back to making it happen. Why are you doing this? Why are you stopping me from bringing my daughter back? It's all right, Mona. Just wait a wee while longer. Daddy'll be finished here in just a minute.
That painting is really freaky, but yet we're fighting Roddy and Picto Beleth. There was a Picto thing with Galahad as well. That was actually strangely named Picto Mona, so that's weird. But Picto Beleth and Roddy, this fight is cancer. I'm gonna straight out say it. This fight can be really, really annoying. Let's go ahead and... Oh, I only have one magnifying glass. That sucks. I should probably get more of those afterwards. Okay, well then, let's prioritize examining Roddy then. Roddy, 17,936 HP. Weak to, I believe that was fire, light, spears, and bows. Now, Pictobeleth. Interesting fellow. Immune to weapon damage. Not unarmed damage, weapon damage. Can be still pretty annoying. Now, Pictobeleth focuses on primarily physical-based attacks, which can be pretty annoying. Roddy, on the other hand, focuses on healing, earth and wind damage that, because of his asterisk, will give them access to special ailments based on the magic he uses. If you just have a resistance to the earth and wind damage, you can minimize a lot of the issues with this encounter, but trust me, oh, those suck. Those ailments suck. Let's go ahead and use Battle Him here, because we want to take down Roddy first. That's what I'm going to be going for.
Now, let me see. Let's see what you make of this muse and melody.
That
May
feels
the
great!
crystals guide us.
Gives us a huge boost in stuff.
Fire!
I also am going to be utilizing Tyrant Lore later, but we're going to go ahead and default with Seth. Let's also default with... Actually, no. Let's go ahead and use a magic defense with Elvis. Default with Adele. Let's default again. Oh, she... no, that's magic defense still. Let's heal up with Gloria. There's Aurora, giving us silence and sleep. Yeah, like I told you, they're annoying. Let's hit Gloria here, wake her up. And then we're going to use Tyrant's Lore on Roddy and Pictobeleth. Now again, this probably won't do anything to Pictobeleth because it's weapon damage. But again, oh no, it did. Okay, it pierced. But we're going for Roddy. So what we're going to be doing is Godspeed Striking. This will be one of the few times I actually utilize this in a fight because we really want Roddy down fast. We're gonna heal up. Ooh, Elvis got paralyzed. There's Aurora again.
Mona! Oh, Mona! It's my fault! It's all my fault! I'm sorry, Mona! I'm so sorry!
I'm up, huh?
Okay. Sorry, buddy. No time to grieve right now. We're going to do another. We're going to do a mini ether and then another Gods. Actually, no. No, he'll be down here in a second. Mini ether and Godspeed Strike, and this should wrap him up on the return hit. Okay, Pictobeleth stun smash does a lot of damage plus silence, and there goes Roddy. And then Adele's going to be in the back seat for a little bit here for a bit, while we poke him. Now I'll show you. Immune to swords. We need to take our weapons off if we're going to deal damage, which means Adele is going to be unequipping all of her weapons because we put Bare Knuckle Brawler on her. And then we're going to be sitting here and taking some magic from him. Okay, that was not as much as I was hoping. Now we can have a little bit of a breather here. Let's increase our physical defense. And then with, ooh, we need to remedy that. Animator on Gloria. We need her to have her turn up soon. Okay. At least we don't have to worry about the elements anymore. Let's get Gloria's turn here soon. Okay. Let's do a Cure Raga on everyone. Okay, that tops everyone off pretty well. And then, oh, I didn't swap Adele over to Vanguard before doing this fight. That's okay. Sun Smash. Sun Smash. Again, paralysis is very annoying, but we have a lot of animators, so we can deal with this pretty well. Let's use Don't Let Him Get to You, and then let's use Hurt So Bad. One thing to note, Roddy is actually weak to gravity magic. If you want to use those aqua elements I was talking about earlier in the episode, do it. He can go down in just a few hits if you use gravity on him. The golems that we use, that we have in our repertoire are also very strong. I might see if I can use them with Seth here. Meanwhile, with Adele, let's chuck a few mini ethers her way, so she can use some Godspeed Strikes. The Pictobeleth has about 11,000 health, if I'm not mistaken. I can't really do much on Seth, so let's have him... We'll just do this alone. Yeah, 5,000 damage with that Golem Megaton Punch. Really, really good. That should lower its HP to about half. Letting us probably wrap this up with Godspeed Strike. Again, this will be one of the few times I use Godspeed Strike in a boss fight. This is one of the last times we'll be using Thief in general, and so I really wanted to show it off and how easily it can rip apart a boss. And this is a fight that I think really deserves it. 2,000 damage, 2,000 damage.
Please, Roddy. You have to listen to us.
And there we go, Gloria learns Shut Up and Dance. Okay, this fight. There are a lot of ways to solve it. Roddy himself is very frustrating to a fight. Not only does he have access to Wind and Earth damage, which is pretty annoying to deal with if you didn't know about the Wind and Earth talismans. He also has all of those ailments, which, again, very frustrating to fight. But he also has access to a heal that will heal about 2,000 HP. Thankfully, he is weak enough to where just a few Godspeed Strikes or some Mercy Strikes or anything that just does a crap ton of damage with a low cost will turn him to shreds really fast. Otherwise, Pictoboleth, just take off your weapons and beat the crap out of him, or bring those golems that you found in the previous dungeon here to just rip him apart with those strong hitting physical attacks that don't have any weapon tied to them. If you want to go the magic route, you can, but I wouldn't suggest that. Roddy has a lot of resistances, and so does Pictoboleth. Pick a strategy, and honestly, if you go with the strat that I just did here, you won't have any major issues. Now, funnily enough, Roddy was an Asterisk user, so we get a new one. The Red Mage, my beautiful little baby. Red Mages excel at both offensive and restorative magic, making them versatile and vital battlefield companions. The Red Mage has access to Wind and Earth elemented abilities. And they also have access to a heal trilogy, where they can heal a flat amount of HP, which can be pretty reliable. Now, Red Mage usually in a lot of other pieces of media, like Final Fantasy or even the other Bravely Default games, Red Mage has access to a variety of things. Fire, water, lightning, healing, status ailments, defensive buffs. Not so in Bravely Default 2, they're a little bit more focused. However, Red Mage has the innate specialty later on in when they hit job level 12, Chain Spell, letting each of their spells cast twice with no extra cost and without the ability to trigger counters, making them an effective damage dealer with any sub-job equipped, and a really strong healer if you have access to white magic. The Red Mage outfits themselves to being a really vital part of your team, regardless of what you outfit them as. Now, they aren't great at dealing physical damage, so slotting them in a caster role is going to be where they really shine the most. If you want a powerful caster that can really turn the tides of battle, whether it's in healing or damage dealing, Red Mage is your guy, and we'll be seeing a lot of this job.
Where am I? Elvis? What are you doing here?
Regained your senses at last, eh, Roddy? Good to have you back. I'll bet you don't remember anything, eh?
Crikey. How can I ever apologise?
Huck, there's no need. It's forgotten already. Well, that bit of it at least. I'd be keen to hear what exactly happened to you, though.
I'm afraid I'm as clueless as you on that front. I mean, I've some vague flashes of what I got up to, but as to how or why I was doing it, nope. Sorry, not a clue. I remember the town being overrun with trees and believing I could bring Mona back by making blue paint, of all things. But honestly, it all feels like it was someone else doing it.
Do you remember when it started? Anything that might have set it off?
It was the painting.
The painting? The one in your room?
Aye. I got it after Mona died, at the same time as the asterisk, in fact. Someone must have given it to me, but no, I can't remember who.
Not to worry, old pal. That wee clue about the picture's more than enough to be going on with.
Oh, thank goodness. A lead in the case at last.
Roddy, this may come as something of a shock, but you've a right to know. Lily may believe that your daughter is still alive.
What? What do you mean? But... no! Mona's dead. How can Lily believe they're living together out in the forest?
Listen, let's not jump to any conclusions, eh? This is all just hearsay, remember?
That's right. We're going to head out there and find out what's really going on.
In that case, I'm coming with you. If someone's got into Lily's head the same way they got into mine, we need to help her, and fast.
Aye, and who better to help her than the Institute's best-loved pair of tearaways? It's good to have you back, old pal.
Thanks. All right, we'd best be getting on.
Roddy is now accompanying the party. And we got access to Red Mage, which I'm going to immediately equip on Gloria. Didn't think that was going to do that, did ya? Alright, and we're going to give her Bard. I don't like White Mage very much. I think it's a little too overpowered, and it's really good. But I think it's just too basic and way too strong. Red Mage, on the other hand, pretty solid. And so, from this point onward, White Mage is not really going to be seeing a lot of action. I'll obviously level it up on someone else later on, but it isn't my main priority right now. We don't have access to heal yet. I think we start with Stone on her. So let's give her a medium JP orb. Give her level 3, that gives her arrow and heal. And then one last thing, I'm going to go back to the expedition with our ship and see if we are at 3 hours yet or not. Going back here, 2.5 hours. Sure, let's go ahead and stop exploring. 10,000 peak from that one. Another 10,000 peak. And 100 peak. So 20,100 peak from that. That's actually not too bad. It puts me at basically 50,000 peak, which is insane. And Roddy's here, we can talk to him. Sounds like both Lily and I have been paid for a pair of fools, huh? Thanks again for bringing me back to my senses. And thanks for letting me come with you to help Lily. I just think it'll be better if I'm there, you know? I think so too. Next time on Bravely Default 2, we're going to be heading out to the woods and see if we can find Lily and figure out what the heck is going on with her and Mona. Also, I might be switching some things around with my jobs. I have figured out some things that I'm not really a big fan of. So, with that said, I'll see you soon.